Welcome to Paley Front Row, part of the Paley at Home series presented by Citi.
Women have to overcome more obstacles to reach the top. It's made them fiercely determined and more innovative. Just because they can navigate the obstacles doesn't mean they should have to. Citi is committed to investing in opportunities for 10 million women globally by 2025.
So now, without further ado, I want to bring out our panel and have a fun conversation about Hacks Season 2. So first off, she plays Kiki on the show and has that purse of popcorn now that I want to learn all about. Poppy Lou. Next up, he plays Damien on the show. Mark Indelicato. Mark. All grown up from Ugly Betty days, right? Shout out to Ugly Betty. Next up, co-creator, co-showrunner, EP, and writer, Jen Statsky. Also co-creator, co-showrunner, EP, writer, director, Lucia Aniello. Co-creator, co-showrunner, EP, writer, and of course, Jimmy, Paul W. Downs. And I don't know if you heard Poppy's line actually in the episode because there was a lot of cheering going on, but the line of the show probably of this episode is "Do not fuck with Deborah Vance." And I say the same thing about Jean Smart, the one and only Jean Smart. By the way, I do want to mention that Hannah Einbinder did want to join us tonight, and she's a little under the weather and couldn't make it, so unfortunately we don't have the other half of the amazing Deborah and Ava
But now
duo.
I can talk about her frankly.
Now you can. And I love that look of fear in Hannah's eyes as Ava at the end of that episode when Deborah grabs that paint gun. She's like, oh. Like, this is like, things are happening.
Yeah. So I like the part when the dog was eating the grapes. What did you do?
Things are happening. The other thing I do want to mention, because it is sort of the elephant in the room, you know, it happened right around here.
Oh, wow.
Should I slap you?
I don't know about like when you guys were watching, but when I started to think about like the best slaps in TV history, and season 1, Deborah's slap, that was pretty solid. That's legendary.
I felt so bad.
Well, Jean did not want to really hit that
I
hard.
couldn't, it just wasn't, poor thing, she put up with so many fake slaps. It was worse than if I'd just hauled off and smacked her, so I finally just had to haul off and smack her really hard. But she told me to, so.
Yeah.
The truth is Jean is so committed to all of her stunts. Like, truly, she wanted to hop in that helicopter in season 1 and drive it off herself. And so it was practically. So it was the only time that, you know, she didn't go full 100,000% on it. Stunt was.
I've never hit anybody.
Yeah. It was sweet. It was sweet.
It was sweet, yeah.
Yeah.
But then she actually connected pretty hard, and we were very happy.
And that's the one in the cut.
Yeah, you've seen that one. Moving on.
I mean, it was a critical moment in the series because it set up so much of that dynamic now moving forward, and what Ava did in response, and the fallout from that email obviously continues to resonate, especially early on in season 2.
But one of the funniest lines, I don't know why it's so funny to me though, is when I hit her and she says, "Who hits people?" Like it was something that only my generation did. Smack people, you know.
Right, it's a very dynasty sort of moment. It's a throwback to some of the great 80s TV slaps. So I don't know if we want to bring that back, but especially after given what's gone on. But it was a great moment on the show. Poppy and Mark, so this is sort of your first chance to see the new season as well. What your thoughts now getting to see it on stage and also getting to see it and hear the audience and hear their response and their laughter and their applause?
Well, I mean, I knew that before even seeing it that everyone was going to love it. But I mean, of course, like when they're at the fight and the like blood sprays on. I mean, reading it for the first time, I was just like, this is gonna be insane. and I was not there. Damien was not there. He was organizing his khakis, and he was not there. But reading it, I was just like, this is gonna be incredible. And being able to just sit there and watch like this blood splatter on her face and hearing this audience just scream and cheer and Jean cheering. And it was just, I mean, I turned to a friend that's with me tonight and I was like, I feel like we're watching Rocky right now. And that doesn't make sense, but somehow it also does. And that was my that's my takeaway from the first episode.
That made me cry. It made me cry, that scene.
Yeah.
You mean doing it?
Just
or watching it?
just watching it, yeah.
Well, because doing it, you got the fake blood in your eye. I mean, I talk about doing stunts.
Yeah.
They sprayed Jean Smart with fake blood. It was in her eyes.
Multiple takes.
That was wrong.
I said, I gotta retire.
That was good. That was a lot.
Or like spraying it up into Jean's face.
Yeah.
It got in your eye, yeah.
You know, Paul is an actual MMA fighter, and now he is, he's wisely basically retired from that before he gets any permanent damage. But he is, a friend of ours just went crazy when he found out he was on the show because he watches those fights, but he now is a commentator for the fights.
It's a very Vegas thing. You got to have some MMA in there, and you got to have Wayne Newton, obviously. And
Mr. Las Vegas.
Embracing the Vegasness of it before you go on your road trip.
Yes, exactly.
So, Poppy, I didn't get a chance to sort of hear your reaction.
Oh my God, I feel like I'm like the biggest fanboy of Hacks. I missed the first 10 minutes of the episode because I was like finishing interviews and I literally sprinted over there like when you're late to the movie theater. Like, what happened? I mean, obviously I know what happened because I read the script, but you know, when we filmed that scene, Kiki, with the popcorn purse, that was actually on my actual birthday. And I don't know why that doesn't cheer.
Can you believe it?
Like I got to cheer. Like we don't all have birthdays, but it was on my birthday, and there was all this drama because like 2 weeks before, I had quarantined all of like the holidays to not risk any exposure. Still got Omicron, and so there's all this drama of being like I didn't have it anymore, but I was still testing positive. I was like, I couldn't come on set unless I got a negative test. And then in mere hours beforehand, this whole drama there, the computers had crashed, you're actually negative, go, you're going on set still. And it was my birthday too, and it literally was the like most euphoric day of my life. Because there I was like, oh my God, they're gonna have to go on without me. He's gonna be not in here, we're gonna lose the popcorn purse. And I was
We
like,
found out she tested negative. We said, put the popcorn on! We need the popcorn!
And truly, the popcorn purse is going to be, like, that's canon from this
literally,
point.
I was the people deserve popcorn purse.
Popcorn purse.
Can you imagine your lives if you left here tonight not knowing about popcorn purse?
Yeah.
I don't want that for you.
I feel like most people know about it, but just like now having it on.
Yeah, or most people
like
put it in a
popcorn purse.
Ziploc bag, but now you know you don't have to.
No.
You just get a long chomp bag
You don't have to.
and fill it with
Put the nutritional
popcorn.
yeast in the bottom, put the popcorn on top, and you zip it up and you run it around. And yeah, but it was the best day. Like, it was just the best day of my life. I was like, I don't have COVID. I'm on set with my friends. I get to like yell and scream with the popcorn purse. I was the happiest. But, so anyways, you're watching. That wasn't even acting. That was true euphoria.
I think Chanel's going to come out with the popcorn bag.
Yes.
Clearly, Hacks branded popcorn purses, merch. Like if you're talking to Universal and HBO Max about maybe doing some popcorn purse merch, I think that's got to happen. So
On QVC, baby.
So kind of jumping around because Poppy did bring up Omicron and COVID. Obviously, it's been difficult to produce anything these days. And I'm sure for you three, this was just pulling off a second season and what you learned from season one and how difficult was it in season two to sort of produce and do all the things you wanted to do, given all these restrictions and limitations that we still have?
Yeah, it was hard. But we genuinely do have I know people say this all the time, but it really is just so true. So I'm gonna go ahead and say it again. But we really do have an incredible crew that is so nimble and works so hard. And so, like Poppy was saying, things get shifted because this person is unavailable, whether it's a crew person or a cast, and it's just, we're constantly shifting when we're shooting what and having to pull things up and move things later. And it's really difficult, but it's only possible and only got pulled off because of our amazing crew, honestly. So, it's a tough thing to do, but it's also how we've made 2 seasons of the show now. So it is something we're used to, unfortunately. It'd be really great to see people's faces one day that I've been working with for years, but I'm not gonna hold my breath.
Or maybe you are, if you see their faces.
Well, yeah, I would.
I like that it's a surprise. You never know.
Oh my God, you're hot,
Some people are so pretty, and some people are like, wow. You
It's
look
tough when you're
different.
disappointed.
Yeah, I thought you looked
That's
different.
My
Also,
friend
I'm-
has a terrible the game that they do on their set where they say, does the mask help or hurt? Which is true. It's not a bad thing.
brutal, really tough.
That's not our set.
Don't do that on our set.
So I think Poppy just pitched a new reality show for HBO Max, which is
It's blind dating. It's Love is Blind, but only for this bottom half.
We'll be taking applications after the show.
Gene, what were you going to say?
Am I allowed to embarrass your wife? And
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
well, it's up to her.
Please.
She should not.
Lucia has directed almost every episode of the show, and she went into labor a week early when we were still filming, and she was directing that episode, and she was at home, and they were sending her, what do you call it, a live feed?
Yeah.
Yeah, a live feed from the set.
Yeah.
And she was quite literally directing us between contractions.
That is...
She was. She was.
For your consideration.
She was.
I feel like there should be a special DGA award
No,
for that.
I kept trying to picture this because, you get this note and say, okay, Gene, don't laugh on that line. And see, camera, can you get a piece of Hannah's shoulder in that shot thing? And then, I was, what?
That was
like Superwoman.
And Paul, what were you doing?
I was acting. I was there. I was there that day. In fact,
Every time his phone would ring, he'd go,
well, I was also directing that day and acting that day. And
Yeah.
I woke up and Lucia said, I have to tell you, I am in labor. Contractions started at about 2 a.m. I haven't slept, but I want you to sleep because you need to go to work. And I was like, I am not going to go to work. And she was like, yes, you are. And so,
I said, I'll keep them in here. You just go to
Yeah.
work, and I'll take care of the rest.
so I went to work and I acted and directed a little bit, and then
And honestly, a couple hours after he got home, then we went to the hospital, and that was that.
There's a very specific scene later in the season where Jimmy's supposed to be terrified, but also Lucia was in labor. So it worked out for the acting in the scene.
Yeah, not a lot of acting. I look very pale and scared. And
The show must go on,
Yeah.
right? And I believe you gave birth the night of the DGA Awards.
Yes.
When you won.
Yes.
Right? So.
That was crazy.
And here we were in the press room, like, what? They couldn't show up. Come on.
I felt bad.
Not even
I
for the
tried to get it where
DJs.
They couldn't find it. Cedars. I said, forget it. I'll stay here.
the parking garage there's hard. Really
Yeah.
hard at Cedars, yeah.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
So, and thank you for being here tonight. And
Thanks for having me.
or maybe you want to be here and you're never going to leave this room.
No, I'm gonna run home. Yeah, I'm sprinting back to this baby. 1 month tomorrow.
Congratulations. So speaking of awards, by the way, so we talked about the show itself at the start, but Gene, I'm going to embarrass you now because, I mean, this has been a run that you've just experienced with the Emmys, the Golden Globes, the SAG Awards, Critics' Choice, the TCA Television Critics Awards, this sweep that only one other person has done this trifecta, or this quad, like five-trecta, is that a word?
No, there's 4 other people.
Yeah, well, the only other one that I was told was Betty White.
Betty White was the only other person who's won an
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
That is the other thing, yeah. So, and then you won an Emmy in comedy lead, and you've also won in the past in supporting and guest. And the only other person who's done that is Betty White. You're right, yeah. So, either way.
Good company to be in.
Yeah,
Good company.
not bad at all. So a year into this experience now as Deborah Vance, this Hacks ride, what's sort of your takeaway now that you've really had time to sort of marinate in the reaction to this show, the success that you've seen, the reaction to crowds like this, to your performances and what this show has meant? How's it feeling now?
It's still surprising and humbling.
I mean, I know I asked the three of you this a lot, but it's still sort of, this ride that you're in the middle of too, and seeing just, what Jean is experiencing and what the three of you are experiencing. This must also be a little surreal. Are you still sort of getting used to, like, you're collecting these Emmys now left and right, sticking them on your shelves, and just everything else that's sort of going on this ride that you're kind of still in the early days of?
Yeah, we feel really lucky. We feel so lucky.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, the reason that we've been able to have that success is because it's been like people who have seen the show and who told people about it. And they show other people, they say to us, I watched it and then I watched it again with my husband or whatever. And I think it's that kind of like love that people spread with the show that is really the thing that is what makes it all of ours, So as much as we are, like you said, getting all these awards for it, it really feels like even though we make the show, we also feel like we're just fans of it because of all the actors we get to work with and all the talented crew that we get to work with. So we're just in it. We feel like we're in it with everybody else. So it's really, a special thing. We get to make it with each other, and we have been, working together for a long time, and we love just making each other laugh.
Yeah, it's kind of like in a way, like the bigger things get, like you have to keep it small. Like the three of us have been working together since like we were in New York, like 10 years ago, making each other laugh. And that is like kind of where the show starts, is that us just sitting in a room trying to make each other laugh and what would we like to see. And then we're so lucky that these people bring it to life. And so, yeah, the show's about creative collaboration, and we just feel really lucky that we keep getting to do it with these people.
It's great. And Mark and Poppy, you've been on plenty of sets. You've been on plenty of shows as well.
We're crying down here.
No, we're like holding hands, crying, like silently. So this experience, it seems like it's really moved you as well, the two of you, and getting to be a part of this family, this show.
Oh my God, I want to cry.
I mean, I think that the first experience that I had with this kind of work environment was my first job, which was Ugly Betty, and being able to work on a set where there was such a conscientious cultivation of a supportive work environment from top to bottom, where everyone really showed up and wanted to be there and supported one another. And the ego was really, truly checked at the door. And I really just felt that walking in to this experience on a show that I read the pilot of and like called my agent and was like, I'll do it for free. Like I will like literally like I will do this for free. I swear.
We do pay.
Yeah. They pay me. No, they pay me.
Zach calls
very, very grateful for HBO for paying me. It's fine. Everything's good. But I truly like, when you feel that kind of gravitational pull to a project and to not only feel so grateful to work alongside of these people in a professional sense, it's also just an added bonus. And I think the most important part and the thing that really sticks with you is like, these are your friends and these are the people that you really, really just like spending time with. you know? And I just think that if you just kind of like the people that you work with, I mean, it's kind of the perfect equation, so.
By the way, I love the serendipity. I was looking at your IMDb, by the way, so hopefully they got this right, but it looked like one of your very first credits when you were a kid was on the CBS drama Hack.
Yes, that is very true. The CBS drama Hack was about a vigilante man in Philadelphia, and I played a guest star character of another guest star, and I was the son that was murdered. So don't kill Damien, please. I mean, he really, look, he's just trying to do his job. Really, I mean, come on.
Very different show.
I really hope that that's not what Damien's fate is.
I don't think it is.
Very different show. And Poppy, I loved you in the Gone Too Soon show, Sunnyside, which I thought you were so great in. And, so.
Sunnyside fans out there. Wow.
But talk a little bit about getting to be a part of this family.
I feel really grateful, honestly. I mean, Hacks, single-handedly has, really changed my career in, the last year. I've had the busiest year that I've had, and it's really cool because, a lot of the other jobs I get right now, they literally just straight up call me and they're like, we love Hacks and we love you. And I think that says a lot to the show because I love Kiki, we love Kiki, but Kiki isn't Kiki is the sprinkle on top of the cake. You know what I mean?
This is a Kiki
she's not the meat. She's the garnish. And we love her for that. But I think the fact that the vision was so strong from the beginning. I keep referencing this because I can't stop thinking about this. I remember the day before I was cast for this, Paul, Lucia, and Jen got on the phone with me and they're like, Poppy, we see you for Kiki so much. We want to tell you, and they just it was when you're at an improv show and they just give you words to riff off of, they were like, okay, we just want to we have this vision. It's so clearly you, and we want you to see the vision that we have for Kiki. And they're like, okay, go. They're like, shopping mall, Sephora, pop music, top 40s, Blackpink, you love it. Girls Girl, Friend, Ride or Die, Blackjack Dealer, Las Vegas. And I was like, yeah. And so then it all worked out, and it's amazing. But I think the vision for all of these characters is so clear, it's so strong, and I think it's a testament that even a character like Kiki, who is just there for a little people see who that person is so clearly. I feel so honored that they see me as a person so clearly. There's just so much life in every single corner of Hacks. I was this thought occurred to me earlier when we were doing interviews too. I was there's another world where Hacks didn't have to be such an ensemble show. It would have been a strong show also with just the Deborah, the Ava character, and this 2-person comedy. But the fact that Jen, Lucia, and Paul fleshed out this whole world and gave so much of their thoughtfulness and love to every single character in every single corner of it, and made it this ensemble masterpiece that it is it's so beautiful. I'm gonna cry. I think I'm ovulating.
I'm crying.
Well, let's talk a little bit about. I mean, obviously, you guys have said over and over again the show. Obviously, Jean Smart was the vision from the start, and
not from the start,
but pretty much. You could do this show.
No, but I mean, you guys started working on this years ago.
Yes, Jean was far too young for the role when we started.
Yes.
Yeah, thank God when they first came up with the idea for the show that they didn't sell it right away, because I probably wouldn't have been offered it way back then.
Well, you were doing some amazing stuff on Watchmen and just a number of the shows that you've been doing in recent years that really, I'm not going to say the word. I'm not going to say the Genaissance, but I just did.
Well, Jean was one of our favorite things of so many things, whether it's Brady Bunch movie or Frasier. Anything Jean was in, Jean was our favorite part of. So we were always Jean Smart fans. But when we wrote the show, we had this amalgamation of all of these women, all of these stand-up comedians and female comedians in general. And so we had this very strong vision of Deborah Vance and who this person was in our minds, but it wasn't a person in the world.
Yeah.
But then when you made a list of all of the qualities you wanted in someone to play that part, then it was very clear to us that Jean Smart was the only person we wanted to do it. And thank God she said yes.
Absolutely.
So lucky.
I do love whenever you bring up the Brady Bunch movie. That
It steals the show.
it absolutely does.
So funny.
So let's talk about season 2. So we got a little taste tonight, but obviously it's an interesting place that the show left off on. Deborah, she bombed doing this new act, but she felt more alive than she had in a long time. And she seems kind of reinvigorated and willing to sort of like look inward a little bit more. I mean, we saw with her daughter, for example, in this episode, where she's trying, where maybe she hasn't in a while. Jean, how do you sort of describe where Deborah is as we head into this new season?
Well, I think that she's suddenly in a position she just hasn't felt in so many years, but it is kind of enervating. She's kind of back to the days when she was working, dive comedy clubs and bars and things like that, and with all the good memories from it and also bad memories. But I mean, it's I think she finds it on some level very energizing and exciting, and so it makes her probably rethink a lot of things in her life, and remembering how she used to take her little girl on the road in these awful places, and that's one of the things about the show that's so poignant to me as a parent, is that she felt she was doing that out of love, taking her little girl on the road because she didn't want to be away from her. Even though her daughter was kind of in seedy green rooms of awful places when she was young and impressionable. But then, of course, her daughter sees it as sort of abusive.
Yeah.
And that's the complexity of being a parent, is that you never feel like you get it right. You think you're doing something for the right reasons, and it turns out to be, maybe not the right thing to do. But it's... she did it out of love, so.
Yeah, and she is sort of looking inward, and also, Ava's kind of also looking inward at her life and the choices she's made, clearly. So there is so much similarity in these two characters, and that's sort of at the heart of this show, right? Is they can't quit each other because they're so much alike. Mm-hmm. What was sort of the goal in the writer's room in season 2 as you guys all sort of figured out where things were going from here?
Well, we wanted to make sure that we used the tension that we left the season with as not just like a one-off fluke thing that was just a story thing. We wanted to figure out a way that it could propel them both as characters and mature their relationship for better or worse. So I think for us, just making sure that we continued to tell their stories in a way that didn't feel repetitive, and it felt like, I think Paul kept saying that season 2 is Build Back Better.
Well, yeah, that was the joke, because it's sort of like, we wanted to have something that was sort of a reset, because these two people recognized their kindredness and the ways in which they needed each other over the course of the first season and became close. But also part of, I think, the magic of that dynamic is this dark mentorship that they have and this sort of love-hate relationship. And so we wanted to be able to have a slight resetting of it with something that caused some kind of tension. But, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And what doesn't kill you makes you build back better, maybe.
Let's pass that resolution.
But yeah, we wanted to use this season to both give the audience, I think, more of what they came to love about the dynamic between the characters, but also really evolve that dynamic as they go out on the road together. Because, if you can travel with someone, it tells you a lot about your relationship.
Oh, wait till you see the tour bus.
Hitting the road. The tour bus, which, again, I got to see because I've seen 4 episodes.
Neener.
The tour bus is sort of the new mansion.
Deborah's mansion on wheels, yeah.
And they're in tighter quarters, so there's a lot to play with.
But I've got the Diet Coke machine in the back.
Talk about sort of taking the show on the road. How much location shooting did you guys get to do?
A lot, yeah.
A lot
we were
this year.
much more on the road shooting locations this season than we were for season 1. So yeah, we went to Arizona. I don't know, I'm trying to think, is it a spoiler to say where we went?
To the
I don't
Grand
think so.
Canyon.
I don't think so.
Yeah, Grand
think so.
Canyon.
No one will tell anybody, right?
You guys signed NDAs.
Was that
She's, no. She's asking if mentioning
Yeah,
locations.
Grand Canyon.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
so.
like we were in the Grand Canyon and Sedona.
And I'd never been to the Grand Canyon before. That was cool.
Yeah, that
haven't
was
either.
cool. That was really cool.
Altadena.
What did he say?
Altadena.
Glamorous Altadena.
It's gorgeous.
Anaheim.
It's beautiful.
Don't forget Anaheim.
But on the road.
Anaheim.
Long Beach. You guys went to Long Beach, right?
Long Beach.
Lots of Long Beach.
Lots of Long Beach.
Lots of Long
Yeah.
Beach.
We were also in international waters. Ish. We were on a port, but you know. We were on the water.
Well, a ship.
Okay, that part I haven't seen yet, so that's exciting. Jean, did you just mention that you had never been to the Grand Canyon?
Never.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. So this doubled as like a trip to the Grand Canyon.
It was great.
Lots of
I
shooting
felt
there.
so bad for Hannah because she was wearing like a little cotton jacket, wasn't even zipped up, and I was wearing my fabulous fur coat that came down almost to the ground. It was 19 degrees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was dying.
But she's always game for everything. She'll never
It's true.
complain.
No.
So she's like, no, guys, I'm good. You know, she's not.
And you know, I get to abuse her. It's fabulous.
Of course, and there's a lot more of that to come. Paul, let's you get a little more face time. I feel like this season is
You know, people demanded it.
It doesn't hurt to be one of the showrunners.
Also, you know, he sleeps with the director.
Yeah.
You know.
Very incestuous, but the Jimmy and Kayla, like that dynamic.
Oh my God.
Shout out to Meg Stalter, who is really sort of coming into her own as well. Yeah.
God.
It's fun. We have fun. I think it sometimes drives our directors crazy because we have too much fun sometimes. We laugh a lot.
They go off.
You guys ad lib a lot? Duh.
We do. I mean, yeah, you know. But yeah, we have a great time. Poor Jimmy, though. He really this season gets talk about a nightmare mentorship. You know, the relationship is dark and it gets darker.
He does.
This is it's like a twisted, dark, erotic thriller. In my mind, as well as a love story between Ava and Deborah. In LA, it's this dark, twisted, erotic thriller.
Yeah. There are multiple shows going on.
Yeah.
Spin-off opportunities. You know,
You said it.
No, I totally smell a spin-off.
Okay, well, from Gene Smart's mouth to God's ears. I don't know.
I think it's Kayla, and then Jimmy just shows up.
Yeah.
Kayla with exclamation point. Kayla. This fall.
I know you. So we saw Wayne Newton, and I know there are a number of other guest actors have already been announced. But who can you sort of tease will be seen this season?
Oh my God, Laurie Metcalf.
Yes.
Laurie Metcalf.
Oh my God.
Laurie Metcalf.
Hilarious.
Unreal.
So
Hilarious.
funny.
We can say people that actually haven't been announced too, right?
Yeah, I think so.
I think so.
Right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We can do whatever we want.
Yes, you're in control. You're on the stage.
Yeah.
We have Susie Essman in the show
Yes.
this year.
Oh, yes.
Who's
From
so
Curb Your
fantastic.
Enthusiasm.
Sorry.
Ming-Na, have we announced Ming-Na?
Yes,
Ming-Na Wen.
Ming-Na
Yep,
Wen.
she's
Ming-Na
announced.
Wen.
Yes.
Margaret Cho.
Margaret
makes an
Cho does a
appearance.
cameo.
Yeah.
I'm like,
There's... Go ahead. Yeah.
Is that who you said?
There are some that we want to be surprised.
Devin Sawa, is that that's fun, right? Yeah. You guys remember
Devin.
Casper?
oh, yes. Brad Pitt? I'm kidding.
No, Gene, that was the movie you did.
Yeah.
That was the movie you did.
Right. Yeah.
Dig in Martha Kelly as the head of
Martha
HR.
Kelly.
That we
Oh,
got
God,
to see.
she was hilarious.
Yeah.
Yes. Right,
yeah.
you hadn't seen her, right?
No, it's
Very-
like she was on drugs.
She is so funny. She is so
It's
funny.
hysterical.
She probably made me break the most, actually.
Yeah, she's just
She cracks me up so much. And when
was
she
so
was winking, she
perfect.
can't wink. So she winks in that episode.
and she couldn't.
And she's like, guys, I can't wink. And we were like, try, but she like had to do this. But if you watch the scene, you can see her warming up to wink, and I couldn't not laugh
She kept
every
cracking
take. It's really, if you watch me, I'm like this.
It was very funny.
Can she do it?
A surfeit of great scenes. And I lied, by the way. I did watch the episode on the ship because
yeah.
I knew that.
that's a big one thing that you guys have been recognized. You got the GLAAD Award as well. Congratulations. And I think one thing that people have really noticed and appreciated is also queer representation in the show, both on the camera. The scene, I won't spoil too much, but obviously that episode that we're talking about explores it. But nonetheless, talk about how that has really also been a big part of the show and representation just in general.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's also part of us fleshing out Deborah Vance's life and what we think who she would have around her as well. And I think she's somebody who's always been very welcoming of the queer community, so it just makes sense that a lot of her world would have queer people in it. And
I think we always tried to write character first and create people that were fully fleshed out and multidimensional and were also queer, but not necessarily. It wasn't what preceded them. It was just part of their identity. And I think we've been really lucky to also have great queer cast members portray those characters and bring them to life in ways that have been beyond our imagining of them. So
and writers as well.
And writers as well. So we just tried to reflect the world we live in, and we're very happy that people have responded to it.
And in that dream scene with Hannah, I kissed Hannah, and I've kissed Chris McDonald, so I've decided I need to kiss every cast member by the time the show ends.
Watch out, guys.
Okay.
Every season, another cast member.
Yes.
Listen,
A very
the more
special
the
episode.
merrier, babes.
Mark and Poppy, have you sort of played out your characters' backstories? Do you sort of talk to these three about sort of your maybe your motivations, the things that you imagine your characters have dabbled in?
I know that you have the answer to this.
Thank you so much
Poppy
for
has a great
asking.
Kiki playlist,
Yes.
which I appreciate.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Oh, it's
I do have a very good Kiki playlist, a lot of top 40 hip hop songs. But I have, at this point, pretty much included in my contract that Kiki's baby daddy is going to be an NBA player. And you heard it here first, because we never know. That's part of her own thing. She's like, I want to raise my kid. We're still on good terms, but I don't need him around. He gave me fertilized my egg, whatever, it's all good. And so we never see it, but I do say that my baby has long limbs.
Yeah,
It's true. It's canon.
So this is just dramaturgy
It's
at
canon.
this point.
Yeah.
To be like, why would my baby have long limbs? Because basketball player,
It makes perfect
it does.
It's really good.
But I don't know, all my other backstory stuff too, which is at this point irrelevant to the Hacks script, but I will tell you anyways. So I think Kiki's a hustler, obviously, and because they cast me as Kiki, I am first generation Chinese American. I'm a kid of immigrant parents, very proudly. And so you know what, Kiki takes after me. She's a hustler. She knows how to she got 3 hand-me-down Rolls Royces. Come on, I'm
Scale.
she probably has an auntie. We all have an auntie who kind of smuggled all of the family members over and in and stuff. I feel like she's maybe part of a ring of people that support undocumented immigrants and gets them jobs in Vegas. Probably has cousins all over the city who are bouncers, club promoters.
All right, so
full-fledged.
so when you sell the Kiki spin-off, just show them tape from tonight's PaleyFest.
We're moving forward with
The
it.
pitch is right there.
Kayla and Kiki.
Kayla Kiki.
do
Oh,
it.
well, I would watch that in a
That backstory
second.
went into the popcorn purse directly. I couldn't have done the popcorn purse without knowing.
Miners is not that in-depth. I feel like they're very polarized, though. I feel like either Damien goes home every night, because he is an enigma in khakis. And, he goes home every night and either organizes and color coordinates his polo shirts and khakis, or on the other opposite end of the spectrum is like at a circuit party.
Yeah.
Like we don't know what he does.
Those things at the same, like both of those things, I think.
You can't go to a circuit party in khakis. I like Poppy's answer better.
So real quick before we go to, we're gonna have some audience questions. But for the three of you, if you pick out like a joke or a scene from this first episode that you sort of are particularly proud of, or kind of even rewatching it tonight, we're like, nailed it.
Somebody's shouting out ones. I don't
Someone
know
say Babe
that.
Pig in the City? Yes,
Oh,
I
Babe
really like
Pig in
that
the
one.
City.
That's pretty good.
answer.
That's pretty good.
Babe Pig in the City.
Just a Martha Kelly, like, yeah.
I like the reveal that DJ dated Carrot Top.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah.
Feel good about that.
Oh my God, yes. That was hysterical.
I think for me, actually, and I'm not going to give you the full backstory of it, but I will say that the moment where Deborah says to Aiden, you're going to get back up because you're a Vance now, and that really, I mean, that's really Jean's performance of it that is what gets me, but there's something just really, I don't know, she's been so holding back from this guy this whole episode, and finally she's decided to extend that familial olive branch right when he needs it the most. She's talking to herself, of course, as she's talking to him. But that moment, I actually just said it. Backstage, I said, I have goosebumps.
She did say that.
Also, not to brag, but Lucia directed a full-on like fight scene movie. It's like Rocky. It's crazy, which I'm very proud of Lucia.
Yeah, that was
Pretty rad, yeah.
Very, very, very pregnant.
you.
I was like 8 months pregnant. I was like, all right, the blood, it's not intense enough, bro.
You guys crammed a lot into this first episode.
Yeah.
So we do have a couple of questions. First off, from Paley members. From Paley member Jenna Choquette. Jenna, sorry, I totally mispronounced your last name. I apologize.
Is that you? Is that Jenna?
Hi, Jenna.
Hi, Jenna. Yay.
Jenna says, I love how the show reflects the complexities of the mentor-mentee relationship. Would love to know which women inspired you with a similar mix of creativity and frustration as Deborah inspires Ava.
Wow.
Good question.
Really good question.
Great question.
I suppose for anyone on the panel who
inspires, say
so
that?
sort of inspires that mix of creativity and frustration, that dynamic between these two characters that sort of fuels them. Is there anything, maybe in your personal experiences, maybe with other mentors or just in general, that you've kind of inspired this dynamic?
We've been lucky to have not nightmare bosses, so I don't know about the frustration element of it. You know, one mentor for us, because the three of us came from running on Broad City, and Amy Poehler is an executive producer of that show.
Yeah.
And so Amy Poehler was a mentor for us and really helped us as emerging comedians. But we don't have the nightmare boss part of it.
No, but
So.
I will say, like, I remember at the end of season 1, we wanted to do this crazy episode that we wanted to basically do like the origin story of how Abby and Alana met at the end of season 1. And
who met?
Abby and Alana from Broad City, the characters.
Oh,
in
yes,
Broad City.
yes.
And she was kind of like, don't do it yet. And we were like, no, we want to do it, just let us do it. She was like, just don't do it yet. And we were like, okay, fine. And then we did it like 3 seasons later, and she was so right, because we had so much more to draw upon a couple seasons into it than season 1. We just met these characters to do the origin story. It just didn't make sense. And
We were idiots. Were idiots.
But what she did is she pushed us to work harder, really. And that is, I think, something that Deborah, is always instilling in Ava, and I do feel that she did instill in us at that time.
Yeah, and it's fun that you're now getting to the point in Hacks where it is earned and you can start to play around with those kind of things. From Paley member Carla Mendoza. Carla.
Come on down.
Where you at, baby?
In season 1, episode 7, wow, very specific, thank you for that. We're able to experience one of Ava's dreams, which, Jean, you mentioned. If we were to experience one of Deborah's, what would that dream be?
Oh, my God.
Oh.
I think
And
Jean
who
should
would it be
answer this
with?
one.
I think Jean has to answer that one, yeah.
Yes.
Of a sexual nature?
However you want it.
Well,
What does Deborah dream about at night?
Revenge.
Pretty great. So we do have time for a couple of questions from the audience. So raise your hand and, all right, right here, I see you first in the jean jacket.
We have some.
So, all right.
There's some
look at that lady.
very enthusiastic.
I know.
Mike.
Touchdown!
Please pick her. Come on, please.
Oh, you have to.
All right.
Okay, next up. But first, can I see your question first?
Sure. So first, I want to say thank you for creating a world that's centered around women in the world of comedy and playing with, or just really illustrating characters taking on issues not directly, but in such a powerful storytelling way. It really speaks to, I think, me and a lot of people in my demo and today. So on the, kind of on the same note, was there a process of how you sort of orientated yourself to the world of stand-up? Sort of the the gritty, the road work, the grind. From my reading your Wikipedia, Jean, I wasn't sure if you'd ever done that before necessarily. So be curious about what the process was there and what informed that.
Oh, for me?
Yeah, for stand-up.
I have to give credit to them because it was all on the page. It really, really was. I could just hear it. I could just hear it when I read it. And my family members would probably tell you that I was the family ham growing up. But it's been incredible because it's sort of like I got to live out a fantasy of doing stand-up, but without any of the risks, because the people who were laughing at me on screen were being paid, so they were, but
I have to say, when Jean does stand-up, between takes, she is cracking up all of the extras for the audience in a way that a stand-up would. And I do think, you're right, that you could hear it, but it's because she knows the music. When you're writing comedy, there's timing to it. And some actors, if they're not comedians, you have to be like, here's the timing. But Jean always did it not only the way we envisioned it, but better. She did it always better. So the credit goes back to her. Let's give it back to her. Sorry, I took over here.
My fantasy of you guys taking her to a grungy open mic scene didn't happen. Wasn't part of it.
I will add, by the way, Wikipedia is okay, but if you go to Variety, and I don't know if you guys can get that, but that's the best I can do for now. But Jean on the cover of Variety from September.
So rad.
I'm just saying that may be a good news source to go check out. Just saying. Next question.
Hi, my name is Taylor. I'm a recent college graduate. I'm currently trying to con my way into a writer's room right now. So I want to know, what was the job that chain reacted into you guys creating an Emmy-nominated show? What kind of got you started in this industry?
Yeah, we all kind of had different paths. I started, my first writing job was for a satirical newspaper called The Onion in New York. Yeah, I did it all. I created it. So that was my first kind of comedy writing job, and then I transitioned into late night from there, which is a lot of monologue writing, and that was kind of those were my first jobs.
And we started making comedy together and making, writing sketches and making them and putting them on YouTube.
But that really is how we got representation and how we were able, it was our calling card, was just our shorts. And since you said you were a recent college grad and you were, I guess, trying to con your way into a writer's room, I really feel like when, because we hire a lot of writers, and I think the thing that we're always looking for is a unique voice and somebody who's doing something that we haven't seen before. So I think just, making more things that only you could make, I think is the way to get your foot in the industry, because no one else has your voice. A lot of people can do a lot of different things and mimic other things, but if it's you and nobody else but you, then you're getting that job. So I would just personally recommend doing that. Even though that wasn't your question, you didn't actually ask for advice, did you? No. absolutely sorry. That was so presumptuous of me.
All right, if the excited person, if you can run down. You gotta come down, you gotta. This really is The Price is Right.
I feel like we're on The Price is Right.
Come on down. All right. Don't make me regret this.
I think we're about to hear us type
we're doing
type 5 minutes.
Oh no.
Am I right?
Don't make me regret this.
I have no idea. I stole my friend's HBO Max password last night, and I binged the whole fucking series.
Last night.
Last night?
From 8 p.m. until noon today.
So you're up to speed.
I'm obsessed with all of you because I'm so fresh. I'm so fresh off of this. Okay, so here's my question. So what comic, who's either alive or dead, or writer, did you guys take your inspiration from to write this series? Did you take anything from any comic that you really respect or that wrote just exceptionally?
Inspirations.
Nobody. No. The truth is, it's a list of a lot of. We drew from a lot of people that we are inspired by, from Elaine May to Phyllis Diller to Lucille Ball. There's a lot of elements of Deborah's backstory. She had this famous sitcom and then public divorce like Lucille Ball, and she worked with her husband, kind of like Nichols and May had like a live kind of improvisational show that then became the series. Obviously, there's some Joan Rivers. There's a lot of great female comedians that we love.
Yeah.
That went into the melting pot that is Deborah Vance.
Yeah, exactly. And also I feel like, like sometimes you're listening to like I love Wanda Sykes. She's my favorite stand-up, has been forever. And I think no matter what, when you just are listening to, we love Sarah Silverman, we love Kathy Griffin. Like there's so many women that we're just like, whether or not you're even aware of it, that when you hear their material so much, it becomes part of how you want us to tell stand-up, or write stand-up. So I think,
Yeah,
so many people
There's so many, and honestly, like a big part of it was telling the story of this woman who hasn't been as celebrated as perhaps like her male counterparts are. So there's so many women that like whose stories never got to be told, who never got the spotlight that some of these other women got, that we wanted to honor with this story too. So we were inspired by so many women, both whose names we know and ones we don't.
All right. Thank you so much for your question.
Love it. Thank you so much.
I think we have time for one more. Since you're right in the front, sir, I'm going to give it to you to bring it home.
Whether in season 2 or in future seasons down the line, will we learn more about Deborah and her sister?
Yeah.
Well, I've been envisioning Linda Pearl and Jean together. And is that something that we will maybe see down the line?
Good question. So
great question. We don't want to spoil anything.
Okay.
But you do have to wait a little bit. I will say that.
Okay, great.
Stay
and I see
tuned.
Debbie Reynolds, because in her stand-up, in her act, she did a lot of stand-up, a lot of comedy.
Yes.
And that's sort of what I envision.
Absolutely.
100%. And she was maligned by ex-husbands of hers and ripped off by her managers. And Debbie's story is another touch point for us for Deborah's story.
Absolutely.
Best show on TV.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, Jean, what are you excited for people to see season 2 from your experience producing and being a part of this season? What's your I didn't mean producing in the literal sense, but just being a part of it.
Next season.
I just promoted you.
I'm like I said, I'm just so happy with the scripts for this season because, like I said, you're always nervous about the second time around. But there's a couple episodes in particular that I think people are going to really flip out over. But what I love about it though is that because I was fearful that because the relationship between Ava and Deborah is so much, I think, a part of what made season 1 so fun to watch. And I thought, well, gee, now that they've gotten closer, is that going to be watered down? Is that going to be something now that the audience is going to miss? But somehow they made it work equally as well. I mean, it's still like this, and in a really fun way. In fact, it's almost in a way, now that they know each other better, they can push each other's buttons easier.
Yeah,
you know?
and they still, they kind of need each other.
Yeah.
So even when things get rough, they're still right there
And
with
also,
each
too,
other.
I mean, they're very different generations. Well, a little bit. So there will always be that. There will always be things that Ava says and does where Deborah's just like, no. No. Didn't need to hear or see that,
No, there's that ticking time bomb waiting to happen. So it's exciting when eventually that's going to go off. So stay tuned, as they say. Now go brag to all your friends that you got to see this first. Thank you so much, Poppy, Mark, Jen, Lucia, Paul, and of course, Gene Smarts.